Taurus is the zodiac sign associated with the bull. This means this is a sign that moves very slowly, very patiently, very deliberately, looking for the perfect moment to strike. But when they decide to strike, they go in full steam ahead, full force, with no obstacle being able to stop them while they have their eye on their prize. You might think that you understand the Taurus man. He's the steady, reliable type who moves at a snail pace. You're half right, but there's so much more to these guys. In today's video, I'm going to dive deep into the Taurus man and what makes him tick in love and relationships. Taurus represents ownership. It's the state of consciousness of a toddler. It's a state of mind where the individual starts realizing that they can own things, and they're also becoming a lot more aware of the material environment and the good things that it offers. Aries represents the infant. Taurus represents the toddler. So at this stage of life, there's two things that you really need. The first is stability. The second is enjoyment and sensory pleasure. This is the time where the consciousness is discovering the senses and all the ways that they can interact with the world through their senses. So if you think of the state of mind of a toddler, that is very similar to how a Taurus exists. So when you think of stability and sensual pleasure, many people think about material comfort. Although material comfort is part of what Taurus man strives for, it is just one side of the coin. A Taurus man is actually focused on creating a world that is safe, beautiful, and deeply satisfying on all levels. A Taurus man takes his time. He appreciates and believes in quality. And he also believes in doing things right. Because he wants to do things the right way and not rush into things and make the wrong decision. His sense of patience often gets mistaken for stubbornness. But the Taurus man's persistence, or what you would call stubbornness, is actually one of his greatest strengths. In a world full of quick fixes and instant gratification, a Taurus man understands the value of slow and steady progress. Taurus men are deeply attuned to the physical world. They don't just eat, they savor. They don't just touch, they feel. This sensuality extends to all areas of their life, making them incredibly present and grounded. Out of all the zodiac signs, one sign I can say that is the most persistent and can also be the most stable when they fall in love is Taurus. I once knew a Taurus guy in high school who had a crush on me. At the time, I actually had a boyfriend, but this Taurus guy really liked me, and he tried every day to create a connection with me. Even though there were quite a few obstacles stopping him, such as having a boyfriend, this Taurus guy in particular persisted in trying to have some kind of relationship with me for about 10 years after, even after I left high school. Even though I moved to a different city, even though life pulled us in entirely different directions, he still tried. The dedication I experienced with this Taurus guy and trying to have a relationship was way more intense than anything I've experienced with a guy of any other sign. I feel like a Taurus man's dedication can even put an obsessed Scorpio to shame. Taurus men are the type of men that become very comfortable with what they know. And what they know is usually what they go to or what they stick to. This is why Taurus men can often have friendships with people for a very long time. Because once they become comfortable and familiar with a person, this person becomes a source of stability for them. And what they want more than anything in their life is stable, grounded people who are always there. In life, people often come and go, but a Taurus man wants people that are always going to remain, and so do Taurus women. Taurus men fear loss and change, which can make them possessive or even resistant to new experiences. But understanding this particular fear is really the key to understanding a Taurus man. So in relationships, a Taurus man wants a partner who can be both his equal and his comfort. He wants someone strong enough to stand beside him, yet soft enough to appreciate his nurturing side. The ideal partner for a Taurus man isn't a yes person, but someone who can challenge him while respecting his need for stability. Financial security is more than just a goal for a Taurus man. It's a need. It's not about greed, but it's about creating a stable foundation from which he can enjoy life's pleasures. When a Taurus man lacks financial security, it shakes him to his core. His usual calm demeanor crumbles, replaced by a constant undercurrent of anxiety. He may become irritable, withdrawn, or even depressed as his fundamental need for stability goes unmet. This insecurity can bleed into all aspects of his life, straining relationships and dampening his usual enjoyment of life's pleasures. A Taurus man who does not have a stable job, who does not have a plan for a future, and who's not busy building this plan or working towards it. A Taurus man that lacks stability, essentially, is often the Taurus man you want to avoid getting involved with. The reason I say this is because a Taurus man's never going to be able to be fully focused on you and the relationship unless he has actually built his foundation in life. In order for him to be in a space where he's present with you and where he actually wants to build a future with you, he has to first feel secure within himself that he can create this reality. If he can't, and if he's struggling to create the stability or work towards the goals he's set for himself, he's going to be plagued with insecurities. He's going to be plagued with doubtful thoughts. He's going to be incredibly confused. A Taurus man without a goal and without financial security can be one of the most difficult men to deal with. Often when Taurus men are young, and let's say they have not created stability for themselves, this is just an example, it's not to say that this is always the case, they can often pursue women who are very successful and who are able to help them create more stability in their lives. But because for a Taurus man, it's all about having that personal sense of power, that personal sense of, I created all of this myself. This will not be good enough for him, and a relationship like this could actually not last because he actually wants to get into a position where he is financially stable and secure and able to provide for the woman in his life and for his family. A lot of Taurus men can tell themselves that they don't want to do this and they want a financially stable and independent woman in their life, but they're actually fooling themselves. Because what's so part of the Taurus mission, what's so big part of what the Taurus soul is trying to achieve and accomplish in this lifetime, is having that capacity to build success and riches for themselves. And often when they're with a partner who is so focused and dedicated and successful, they're avoiding the part of themselves that they haven't really tapped into yet. They might realize deep down that they have all this potential, but they're not tapping into that potential. So they're essentially trying to distract themselves by leaning on a person who has already tapped into their potential. I've often noticed this trend with Taurus men where when they reach their late 30s or 40s or even their 50s, they become quite wealthy, they become quite successful. Then they actually start seeing younger women. And the reason for this is because often when they were young, they couldn't feel that sense of power and that sense of what it's like to really be an anchor and to provide for someone. So when they actually tap into that power within themselves, they want a woman who they can essentially provide for and provide security for entirely. I've noticed this dynamic unfolds a lot with Taurus men. It's not always the case, but it can often happen. The best case scenario with a Taurus man is if he knows what he wants to do and he knows what he wants to accomplish and he works towards that while being in a relationship with you and while you're also working towards the thing you want to accomplish. So essentially, this balance is really what is healthy for him. But trying to lean onto him too much financially when he's not ready for it can actually cause the downfall of your relationship. But at the same time, if you're overly successful and independent, he will actually get threatened by that, and it will be harder for him to actually tap into his power. So a balanced relationship is essentially what's really best for this sort of man. So a Taurus man who lacks the stability in his life that he needs to feel powerful will make risky financial decisions in a desperate attempt to regain stability or work himself to exhaustion trying to build the security that he craves. Without the solid foundation of financial stability, a Taurus man will struggle to find his footing in a world that is incredibly unpredictable and threatening. But the state of financial insecurity doesn't just impact his bank account. It challenges his very sense of self. himself, leaving him feeling vulnerable and incomplete until he can re-establish the security that is so vital to his well-being and happiness. This desire for stability can be both a blessing and a curse. In relationships, he clings to the familiar, often staying in partnerships long past their expiration dates, fearing the unknown of singledom. With property, he becomes deeply attached, reluctant to move or change even when better opportunities arise. A Taurus man can remain in the same job for decades, not out of passion, but because of the comfort of routine and the security it provides. This loyalty to his passion, while admirable, can stifle his personal and professional growth. Many Taurus men never ever advance beyond their initial role, content with the known rather than risking the unknown for potential advancement. This reluctance to change, to step out of their comfort zone, often results in a life of unrealized potential for some Taurus men. This very trait that makes them reliable, their steadfastness, can also render them immovable, like the symbol of their sign, the bull, stubbornly refusing to be budged even when movement would benefit them. This resistance to change can lead to stagnation, with the Taurus man watching life pass by from the safety of his familiar routines, missing out on opportunities for growth and new experiences. From what I've seen is Taurus men really struggle when they are young, when they haven't actually built the stability and security in their life that they need to feel powerful. Life can be a bit confusing. Life can be a bit difficult for them. But usually when they reach their mid-30s, they often start getting a lot more trajectory. And this is when a Taurus man is really able to step into his power. The thing is, a Taurus man can be quite a paradox. He's resistant to change, yet he's capable of moving mountains when he is motivated. He's grounded in the physical world, but has a profound appreciation for beauty, art, and abstract things. Understanding a Taurus man means embracing his contradictions. It means appreciating the depth beneath his calm surface, the passion behind his practicality. It's about recognizing that his slow, steady approach to life isn't a lack of enthusiasm, but a different way of engaging with the world. In a fast-paced world, a Taurus man reminds us of the value of taking it slow, of building something to last, and of finding joy in the simple, tangible pleasures of life. He is, in many ways, an anchor in stormy seas. He's steadfast, reliable, and deeply comforting to those who truly understand him. The Taurus man's relationship with time is fascinating. He seems to operate on a different plane than most. While others rush, he ambles. This isn't slowness for slowness' sake, but a deep understanding that some things cannot be rushed. This patience extends to all areas of his life, from career progression to his relationships. He's the tortoise in the race, steady and sure, often surprising everyone when he crosses the finish line ahead of the frantic hares. In his career, a Taurus man excels in fields that require steady, reliable effort over time. He's the marathon runner of the professional world, not the sprinter. This makes him particularly well suited to fields like finance, agriculture, construction, or any profession where patience and attention to detail are prized. To truly win a Taurus man's heart, you must engage all his 5 senses. It's in the unification of these sensory experiences that he finds the deepest connection and the most profound expression of love. For him, love isn't just an emotion, it's a full-bodied sensory experience that envelops him completely, and he needs to be felt, heard, tasted, seen, and smelt. One thing I truly appreciate about Taurus men is they won't say something or make promises unless they actually mean it or can back it up. They'll actually be honest with you and say, I can't promise you this. Or they'll rather just not say anything because they don't want to delude you. And to a Taurus man, not being able to stick to his word is one of the biggest dishonors he can act out upon himself and anyone in this world. The concept of loyalty for a Taurus man goes beyond his relationships. It extends into his beliefs, his possessions, and even his routines. It can make him seem inflexible, but it is this very quality that makes him such a reliable friend and partner. When a Taurus man gives his word, it's as good as done. His relationship with change is complex. While resistant to it, when a Taurus man does decide to make a change, it's usually well thought out and permanent. He doesn't believe in half measures. This quality can can make him an incredible force for positive change when he actually puts his mind to it and moves towards it. But often, getting a Taurus man to reach that point of deciding to make a change can take years and years. And the problem is that no matter how hard you try to push that change, to change him, or to convince him, it just will not happen until he actually decides it's the direction he wants to move into. I've often noticed that women get incredibly frustrated in relationships with Taurus men because there's so many things that are unworkable. And that's something that you really need to bear in mind, is that this person cannot be pushed, they cannot be convinced, and they cannot be swayed. That is what the fixed nature represented by the modality of Taurus is all about. Understanding the Taurus man means appreciating the power of the slow and steady. It means recognizing that stillness isn't the same as stagnation, and that resistance isn't always stubbornness, and that there is profound strength in consistency. A Taurus man teaches us the value of building strong foundations, of savoring life's moments, and staying true to yourself despite the winds of change. Interestingly enough, even though Taurus men are so practical and essentially grounded, many can think they can be quite boring. But if you truly tap through the external appearance or the external facade of a Taurus man, you'll see that he can be one of the most committed and romantic men that you've ever met. I mean, Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and romance, after all. Being ruled by Venus gives them the ability to be incredibly sensual and romantic. But this really only comes out when a Taurus man feels stable and comfortable with where you're at and what you provide to him in terms of the relationship. The thing is, a Taurus man's not typically the wild, sweep you off your feet type. You won't find him promising you castles in the sky or floating on pink clouds. But what he lacks in grand, unrealistic promises, he makes up for in solid, dependable actions. While other guys are telling you stories and dreaming about fairy tale futures together, a Taurus man is actually showing up, knocking at your front door with blueprints for the house that he wants to build for you. Yeah. An actual house with real walls and a roof and everything. He's actually thinking about the important things in life, like mortgages and down payments. He's getting his ducks in a row while everyone else is still figuring out what to do for the weekend. A Taurus man is the kind of man that says, I'm not just dreaming of having a future with you, I'm actively building it. Taurus men tend to prefer their women on the more traditional side. If you're a loud, aggressive type who likes to dominate conversations and situations, you might find yourself butting heads with a Taurus man. He appreciates a much more subtle, feminine approach. He also appreciates brains in a partner, but he values street smarts over book smarts. Some Taurus men, the less evolved and conscious ones, might even get physical and aggressive with other men, or even potentially women. I'm not saying it's right, but it happens. But the more refined types, they'll give you the silent treatment so hard that you'll wish the earth would swallow you whole. And don't even think about trying to snap them out of it when they're like this. You'd have better luck moving a mountain with a toothpick. And if you push too hard, you might unleash the bull in all its glory. A funny thing that I've noticed is, often when a Taurus man is out of connection with himself, he ends up chasing literal red flags like a bull, meaning that he can end up attracting and getting into situations with women or people that are really bad for him and that really drain his focus and his ability to create the power in his life that he seeks. But only really when the bull man or the Taurus man gets out of the state of chasing these red flags, literally, will they able to find the stillness within to really do what is important and what's going to make them happy. Essentially, a lot of young Taurus men live their life in the state of like a bull in a china shop, frantically chasing these red flags all around them. That's because they don't really understand the essence of stability and what it offers to them. Another thing about Taurus men is that they really like their space. They're not looking for someone to cling to them 24/7. They want a partner who has their own life and their own hobbies. And another thing is, respect is incredibly important to a Taurus man. An overstep, the sense of mutual respect that he sees in your relationship, that is when things start getting very, very tricky. A Taurus man who feels secure can be incredibly kind and caring. He'll move mountains for the people that he loves. But, this is a big but, he won't change who he is. But his affectionate and charming nature will leave you feeling truly loved, even with your little quirks that others might criticize. He offers you loyalty and a devoted heart, giving you emotional security, which can be very rare in relationships. Combined with financial stability and the romance he gives you, there's not much more to wish for. Although he can be stubborn, consider that stubbornness can also be seen as patience, which is a rare and valuable trait. You'll have a strong and gentle partner who will protect you from life's challenges when you win the hearts of a Taurus man. Contentment is truly the goal. Doesn't that sound comforting? So this is my video on the Taurus man. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you a Taurus man and can you relate to what I said? Or are you possibly involved with a Taurus man or know a Taurus man that displays many of these traits? Subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and check out the links in the description to this video to see what I'm up to and to follow me on my socials. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.